So this session is one of the two parallel sessions of this early afternoon. This one is about battery composition, remanufacturing, repurposing in this room, which is called Montreal, I think. So for those of you who wanted to attend the other session called Battery Recycling Technology, this is the other room called Singapore, I think. All right, so we're here for battery composition, remanufacturing, repurposing. So, of course, a big new possible market, or maybe not, we don't know yet, in the battery industry, remanufacturing, repurposing on top of recycling. So we have four distinguished speakers to present their views on the matter this afternoon. So I'd like to introduce first Mr. Martin Aurelius from WireFlow AB out of Gothenburg in Sweden. Let me say a few words about WireFlow AB, but then you'll be, of course, much more detailed. So what WireFlow does, they develop and manufacture advanced electronics software within test and measurement, which serve leading companies worldwide. What you provide is hence reliable testing for battery packs and modules across various applications areas, such as aftermarket, refurbishment, and recycling. So there will be a 15-minute presentation, followed by questions and answers for about 5 minutes, and then we'll go to the next speaker. Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for that nice introduction. So yeah, as Patrick said, I'm going to talk about recycling and repurposing of batteries, EV batteries, that is. And WireFlow, who are WireFlow? We are a company with more than 30 years of experience within test and measurements. We have a motto, by engineers for engineers, where we sell off-the-shelf products worldwide. And we're also selling solutions using our own products. And one of those solutions are battery test and measurement, which is today's focus. Start looking at the EV battery life cycle. We wonder where the dismantling, discharging, and sorting is performed today regarding repurposing and a second life application of batteries. And if we look at this picture here, we have car dismantlers. We have OEM and third-party companies doing the refurbishment and remanufacturing. And of course, we have recycling companies and storage and logistics hubs serving the entire ecosystem of the batteries. And the market as today is not consolidated. And there is a lot of new business opportunities that gives us. And there are also buyers and sellers of batteries in the background. And the question arises is, how do you ensure the quality of the batteries that are sold? Can we have a uniform way of testing them? Do we know that the batteries have been maintenance charged during storage? Or what tests are provided for giving the reliability of the batteries when they're installed in the application? Well, how to test them? We have the EU battery regulation that, as today, does not give information on modules and cell level. It regulates on the battery pack on the highest level. So if you're using modules or cell for second life application, then you can either wait to see what the EU regulation will give you, or you can look at the standards there is today. There are a couple of standards that you can look at and design the test and evaluate the batteries accordingly. And I would say the UL 1974 is probably the most applicable one as it is today. So without that, looking at the repurposing, what we see is most often is the customer who drives the demands what tests should be done, because how they're going to use the batteries. But if you go ahead and design the test more accordingly to the standards and what's out there to as known facts how to test the batteries, then you're well prepared for the better regulations and what comes for that. So now I'm going to dig into the process flow of repurposing and recycling. So now it's going to be a little more hands-on and more detailed. If we start looking at this picture here, we can see it works. You have a broken car, and you take out the battery pack. And from that battery pack, you need to remove the lid and recycle that, and you take out the modules. The modules either discharged for recycling, and there are several recycling methods in this presentation I'm covering where you discharge the batteries before sending to recycling. And you have tested modules, approved modules, then you can go for repurposing. And as you can see here on the orange marks, you need to register and label the batteries so you have the traceability in the entire chain. And on top of that, to do that, you need some sort of measurement system helps you both qualify entire pack for repurposing or individual modules to qualify modules, test them, or fully discharge for recycle. So if you zoom into the process now, and I'm going to walk you through these steps here for more hands-on how you're doing it. The first step is that you have the battery pack, and you need to disassemble that to discharge it or test the individual modules in the battery pack. And the modules or the packs out there are not often designed for being recycled. It's going to be a challenge to just get the lid off the battery pack. And also, you need to be concerned about safety. It's a high voltage battery pack, so you need to know what you are doing, have proper tools. So how to work around that is make it disassembly instructions for the team so they can do it safe over and over again, train them, and of course, proper tools and equipment for doing that. And once you open the battery pack, then you have the next challenge is how I'm going to divide those modules into strings. How I'm going to connect it in a safe way. As we heard today and yesterday, I mean, safety is important. You have to do it in a safe way. How do you do that? How do you avoid overheating cables and connectors? And also, how do you handle the traceability of modules and materials? Well, once again, you need to have an equipment to match the modules you are using, you are discharging or testing, and you need to have connectors and DC cabling that are correct for this purpose. And also, you need to have also some connect for safety, like external temperature measurement or something like that. SOH measure sensors. And once you connected it, you want to make a test to see that everything is connected correctly before you are discharging or testing them. And you need to see that all the sensors are okay, that you have done everything correct, and the staff, the operators, are they allowed to operate on those modules? So there are some things you can do. You can have a polarity check to see that the modules are connected correctly. You can validate the sensors, so you know that the temperature sensor is monitoring the discharging process, so you know to avoid the thermal runaway. And also, you can have user access control for the discharging equipment, so the operators are allowed to discharge. And now it's the qualification test. Either you know these modules are sent in for recycling only, we cannot sell them, then you don't need to do the qualification test. Or these are modules you want to use, you just want to do the qualification. And then the first question, what is SOH? And for me, I think state of health is misinterpreted many times, because the standard, I would say, is just like the remaining capacity of the battery. But that's not the entire truth of the state of health of a battery. So you need to understand the application, what tests should be done. And also you have the uncertainty of the EU battery directive as well. So, and also these tests can be quite time consuming to do. So how do you handle these uncertainties? Well, there are some tests you can do. For example, cell deviation test, cell voltage deviation test is easy. Do an insulation test, internal resistance measurement. And also, after you've done that, different tests, you want to charge for transport or maintenance, so the batteries keep at its best state as possible. And if the batteries are not suitable for a second life application, they are sent for discharging. And this automatically will be discharged for sent for recycling. And the challenges when you're recycling batteries, of course, is monitoring the discharging process, knowing when the modules are ready, which modules are ready, and safety again. Safety is very important. I don't need to point that out here, I guess. So the solution here is to have equipment so you can discharge them safe and fast. For example, equipment with fuses and contactors. And also, if you have regenerative equipment, you can use the energy in the facility or send it back to the grid. And also monitoring the temperature during the discharging sequence. You can set cutoff limits. You can see trends. So you can monitor the temperature to avoid any thermal runaway. You can also have an integration to the facility, safety facility. And also on the doors, if you use a container for discharge, keeping the containers during discharge, then you can have doors with sensors. So if someone opens the door, then the discharge stops immediately. And also to monitor the discharging process is preferably done in another room far away from where the batteries are kept. And when you've done the quick discharge, then you want to do a total discharge to make sure that the batteries are completely empty of energy, so it's safe to send them to recycling. And during the entire process of every step here, data collection and traceability is important also to be aware of and taken care of. And if you're interested more in these, we have a use case. We help Stena Recycling. It's on our website. You can go there and read the use case. And that is based on our Bifrost module tester series that you can use for the measurements, recycling in different areas of the field. So, thank you.